think it doesn't take much to know that with 1,300 exhibitors here at HIMSS and the number of products that exist in the marketplace, it would be virtually impossible for an organization to staff the talent that they need on every topic, every capability, and every expertise that they need. So I think that we're living in workforce challenges. We're living in changes in the way people think about work and the flexibility and the way they want to deal with their positions and having a work-life balance. So in all of those considerations, finding expert talent, both in urban areas and rural areas, to satisfy as many as 100, 150, 200 projects that are going on at any given time in an IT organization is a challenge. And I think our traditional staffing models, even with all of the job boards that are in place, with the LinkedIn's, the ways that people can put their resume out and make themselves available, there's not a good vetting process in those items to pay attention to that. So I think it's becoming more and more of a challenge on a daily basis to actually find the expert talent, to retain the expert talent, and to satisfy their need for work-life balance. That's a very good point, because a lot of the IT work is project driven, and to have an upgrade to a system, a new implementation, a new product being installed, regulatory changes that are coming along on a regular basis, to think that your staff that you traditionally held in a department would be adequate for those roles is probably a bit of archaic thinking, and that augmentation of that staff as needed is an important thing. I think it's specific to healthcare, especially in the IT world, because of the massive amount of change that we're experiencing and the levels of technology. On any given IT shop in any healthcare organization, regardless of size, there's at least 100 to 150 capabilities that are needed to even satisfy the infrastructure, the applications, the end user requirements, the regulatory requirements, and the very unique expertise that's required on a regular basis can't be found casually by just looking at the resource talent that might be available. Our traditional consulting practices are also not answering the call, because they're actually out there vetting resources in the same way that the healthcare organizations are vetting resources. They're making calls to each other, trying to staff the same positions, and many times the people trying to staff those positions are not educated to know expertise when they interview it. They can't recognize the true skill. So an example would be a particular application, an EHR product, for instance. The difference between an analyst that had been a trainer somewhere versus someone who had done localization or configuration of the product is a big difference. And unfortunately, many of the recruiters in our consulting practices and recruiting firms don't have that level of knowledge and skill to vet those resources. So I think those are particular challenges for IT, healthcare organizations and IT. Yes. My Consult Q offers some algorithm that's specific to the health IT marketplace and is backed by 30 years of experience by our firm. Hundreds of projects sitting on a list to be done are not good for an organization. I think everyone would agree with that. And yet every one of us deal with that in every healthcare delivery system I've been associated with. I see the same list of projects. So I think that having HR departments and healthcare delivery systems leave traditional models behind and start to use different ways to attract talent, to vet talent, and to stop thinking about maybe hiring for a full-time equivalent in every position that becomes available. So some examples of that would be using some of the job boards, using some of the on-demand generation platforms that are out there that allow you to identify resources based on their skill set and the possibility that they've worked in other places and they've gotten ranked by other places and have proven talent in those skill sets. I think it really requires thinking about recruiting differently and making it more project-based and dealing with projects as opposed to thinking that you're going to fill a chair and that full-time person is going to satisfy your need day in and day out for the coming future. Absolutely. absolutely. They are playing catch up, and they're competing for talent. They're competing for the resources that can help them stay current and move forward. And then there are so many challenges with the cybersecurity issues and the regulations that are coming forth. Almost everything that you touch in an IT department, in a delivery system, requires hours and hours and hours of research just to make yourself familiar with the topic that you're working on. Coupled with the fact that many surveys that are in the industry right now indicate that as much as 40% of our workforce by 2020 will be independent, will be freelance talent, and won't be willing to accept positions to sit in the same chair and do the same work on a regular basis. We're hoping so. We're hoping to use the digital platforms to satisfy these needs and to bring the resources to bear on a routine basis, when needed, as needed, in the amount needed, and change the dynamic of hiring.